ever.
Woohoo! Hi, everybody. Welcome to Maximize Your Sales Efforts. And we are on day one with session 2. And we have Mario joining us from Vengresso with Fly Message. And we are beyond thrilled that he's here with us. He's going to be talking with us about 3 key areas that you can focus on and 3 things that you can immediately implement with your sales team that will help you address challenges of the buyer engagement in the third channel. Mario's going to talk more about that. How to scale buyer engagements and actually get results because it's really hard out there. And third is how to drive seller visibility and drive inbound. It is so much easier to cultivate people raising their hands than try to go knocking on doors because nobody has a door anymore. So that being said, Mario, thank you for joining us. Thank you for participating. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to have me here. I appreciate it, Dion. I'm excited to be with you.
Thank you. It's good. I mean, all of the sessions we have for this series are amazing. And I use Fly Message. I'm a huge fan. I love the time saving. I think it's easier to go ahead and edit than it is to create, especially nowadays. Our sellers are not writers. So tell us a little bit more about, kind of set the stage for these 3 things we're going to talk about today.
Sure. Well, as a little background about myself,
Yes.
I spent 26 years in B2B sales, marketing, and executive leadership. And a little over about 7 years ago, I started my first company, and it was a service-based company. And the idea is that I was going to go out there and help sellers to be able to engage with their target audience through digital sales prospecting. And so I started teaching social selling, video selling, and sales messaging for prospecting. And then I had this crazy idea that what if I could form a much larger organization and bring together multiple people and companies underneath one umbrella? And that's exactly what I did. And I did a 6-way merger, of which created Vengresso. And that allowed us to be able to grow into the world's largest digital sales prospecting training company. And during that time, some of the things that we realized was that as sellers were trying to leverage this omni-channel approach, so you've got the phone and you've got email. First off, they were very challenged with writing the right types of emails. So what should an email look like? What are the components of that email? What should a subject line? How long should it be? How do I capture the buyer's attention right from the get-go to keep them reading? How do I get them engaged? So we helped sellers to start creating that sales messaging training content. And then we took them into how to go about leveraging platforms like LinkedIn to engage with that target buyer. And what we discovered throughout all that process was that sellers were really challenged with the fact that they would take these templatized messages and they would use them over and over and over again for various different use cases. For example, I might have a template that I respond back with when someone's requested to connect with me, or I've requested to connect with them. What do I say to my target buyer that has accepted my connection request that leads to my solution and leads with value, right?
Mm-hmm.
So those are perfect opportunities to be able to create templates. And then, of course, we customize it and personalize it to that individual from there. In addition, might be things like scheduling a meeting. How many times have individuals actually written a note that says, yes, Dion, would love to be able to schedule some time with you. Here are 3 dates and times that work for me. Let me know if that works for you. Alternatively, if that doesn't work, here's my Calendly link, and we can find a time that way if that works for you.
Yep.
That takes approximately 1 to 3 minutes, depending on how fast you type. If you're doing chicken finger, right? One index fingers, or if you're like, a fast typer with many, many fingers. So creating these templates was a key element to being able to drive success. So what we discovered is our templates that we were handing out in our sales training program, sellers were utilizing them along with a set of messaging templates they got from their manager or the enablement team or someone else that they had. And so they had templates in Google, a Google Doc, Word Doc, OneNote, Evernote, Notepad, Notebook, draft email, or worse yet, they were hunting and pecking for it inside their sent folder. We saw this as a problem, and we were contributing to it, by the way, because we were giving out a 27-page playbook with 60 different types of sales scripts for various different use cases. So we created Fly Message as a text expander in order to be able to put all of these messages into the cloud. And when we put these messages into the cloud, someone could quickly and easily deploy these messages out with just a few keystrokes. Example, I could type out my entire message for scheduling a meeting, my template, which is happy to host a conversation with you. Attached, you'll find my link. If this works for you to avoid email scheduling volleyball, please feel free to go ahead and click on that. Otherwise, let me know 3 dates and times that work for you, and I'll be happy to schedule from there.
Yep.
All I do is type in -BAM anywhere online. Google Mail, Outlook online, LinkedIn Sales Navigator messaging, Salesforce, HubSpot, you name it, anywhere online, type -BAM, and that entire message builds out. And all I got to do is keep on trucking and keep on going.
Yeah.
So we created the text expander Fly message to really solve that problem. And it actually worked. And it really, really helped the sales organizations to think more about how to enable their time to spend more time with buyers. So those are some of the things that we started doing. And then some really cool things we started doing thereafter, which we started figuring out other problems related to writing messaging for social engagement. I'll touch on that in just a little bit. But net of it is a long story to be able to say who we help and how we help are individual knowledge workers, which includes the sales line of business, to help them save an hour per day and help them book more meetings. That's essentially what we focus on. And now with the tools and technology, we're delivering both training education content, teaching people how to sell, how to write messaging, how to engage. And we're also delivering technology, Fly Message, to be able to quickly deploy those messages, along with Fly Message AI and all of its AI components to be able to help them engage in target platforms like LinkedIn.
Got it. Yes. So Mario, I think one of the things I hear you talking about too is really helping teams, one, with time, right? Because how many times have we heard, I don't have time to personalize a message. I'm just going to grab and I'm going to spend the time instead of really thinking about writing a good message for my receiver, I'm going to hunt and peck and find a message that I can just copy and paste. It'll be fine, right? So it sounds like we're kind of solving for time, but we're also solving for effort. And we're also, what you're solving for is quality over quantity, but more quality at the personalization level, right? Kind of creating a system for almost a manager or leader of a sales organization to use with their sales team.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about that in the context of templates and AI.
Yeah.
So what we see happening right now is a spray and pray approach.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And, just this morning, I spent 22 minutes just triaging my box and unsubscribing from 11 newsletters and deleting about 17 emails that I didn't ask for, or somehow I just got put onto some sort of sequence. And so, some of them are good. Like most of them I can quickly spot out right from the get-go. I open, unsubscribe, don't even look at the content. Others have great catchy subject lines that intrigue me or make me say, like, is this legitimate? Is this a customer? And force me to open it. So they work in some regard. But the problem is what we're seeing is with emails, you're getting a less than 3% response rate. So send out 100 emails, you get less than 3%, three people that respond to it. With calling, you get a less than 2% response rate. Could be lower, could be a little bit higher depending on the industry. But roughly, let's just say it's also equal to 3% as well, 3% or less. Now when we think about this personalization component, we've always advocated at Vengresso that the name of the game is not spray and pray. And so even when you use, as an example, template-based messaging for hand-to-hand combat, one-to-one communication, our templates are designed so that you do have to learn how to personalize those specific elements. You have to insert content to be able to make it relevant or contextually relevant for that individual buyer. And that's really the name of the game, especially with the most recent announcement that Google has made with respects to how they're going to shut down not only individual accounts, but corporate accounts whose collective user base is being marked as spam for at least if you have 3 out of 1,000 messages, 3 out of 1,000 messages that are marked as spam by somebody else, Google will shut you down. So what does that mean to us? It means that tools like the sales engagement tools are going to be severely hampered or limited. Or they better start using some amazing, great AI to hyper personalize these messages so that people actually feel like you're talking to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
In addition, when you think about templates for use of a fly message and an auto text expander, these templates are designed so that, yes, you have 2/3 of the content there and ready to go. But just like AI should never replace the seller. AI should augment the seller. And that's the key here, is that even with templates, it's an augmentation of how to improve, one, your writing, two, the content, B, the tone, and C, the message, the most important message. But the third that you need to focus on is how do you personalize that to that individual? So whether you're using a template for a sales message or whether you're using AI, I like to think of it as human assisted, and you fill in the blank. Human assisted messaging, human assisted AI, human assisted, and you keep on going. And that's really the name of the game here. And I think sales leaders need to start thinking about, what do I do differently in 2024, which is a real thing. It's a real thing. And, of course, January, February, as you know, is sales kickoff season. And recently I was talking to several different sales leaders. And still these sales leaders are focused on, I want an event. I want to get them excited about 2024. And my response to them was, look, I've sat in your seat. I'm not going to question your judgment. You may know and think and have all the right answers. But let me ask you a question. Who the heck cares whether or not you hoorah all of these folks into excitement? What are they going to do to not get shut down on February 2024? That's what we need to be focused on. What will you do differently? What skill, what training, what education, what tool, what templates do you need to now invest in order to be able to force your sellers to be able to make them engage with buyers? And I was happy that a couple days, maybe a week ago, someone wrote a message back to me. They actually responded back. It was a sequence. It was a sequence that they got thrown into. We use sequences. But you better believe that my sequences are filled with hyper-personalization tokens. And we know the data that goes in before we hit send. We know that data. And so this individual wrote back to me, it's hard to tell whether or not this was personalized to me or not, he says, because every message I get from you feels like you're personalizing it to me.
Ooh.
So I thought, wow, it's hard to tell if it's personalized or not, because every message feels like it's personalized, right? So they don't feel like they're in a sequence, and that is the name of the game. And that's what, text expanders or templates are designed to do. And with human assisted AI, we'll talk about that as well, because you hear me saying we need to use alternate channels.
Yep. So I know point one was your third channel. So talk about challenges of buyer engagement in this third channel.
Yeah. So let's talk about that, right? So one of the big challenges that we have is all right, sellers, we know it. Go use LinkedIn to be able to engage with your B2B buyer. If email and phone are less than 3% effective, and using a third or fourth channel, text, LinkedIn, video, increases your engagement rate by up to 40%. That's the number. By up to 40% by using a third or fourth channel. Well, then I'm going to go out as a seller and go try to use these channels. However, the big problem, huge, monumental problem that we have is that if you looked at what it takes to be able to engage with a buyer through a social channel, it is a time suck like you wouldn't believe. Let me break this down to the sales leaders listening in. First, I, as a seller, let's pretend I'm calling on Dion. So what do? I go to Dion's profile, open it up, then go to posts. And then after posts, I start combing through all of the posts that she has written to see which one can I uniquely, authentically, organically engage on, that I can contribute relevant information to the conversation. That process alone takes a minimum of 5 minutes. Okay. Now, if they don't have any posts, then obviously that's not going to take much time. But assuming that they have posts for social engagement, That takes time. So what do sellers do? They get lost and they stop right there. They stop right there because it's too much. They're not sure what to say. And if they're not a good writer, and when they write something, it doesn't get results, and they're like, great job, Dion. Great post, Dion. No, that's not going to get the attention of your buyer. So what do? They do nothing, or they just like the post. And if you got 100 people liking a post, you're not going to stand out from the crowd. Does it mean that you shouldn't like it? No, you should probably use a different one of those emoticons, the funny, the love, the support, the insights, right? One of those things that might capture their attention, but that's not enough. So the second step that a seller does, let's just presume that I look at your post and I say, I can comment on this. Now, what do? Well, I spend up to 5 minutes trying to now write a comment. I edit it, I reread it, I massage it, I make sure it sounds good, I make sure I don't sound like a schmuck, right? And then after I edit it, I now go through and spend anywhere between 1 to 5 minutes on adding in any hashtags, mentioning the individual, and then thinking about, I'm calling on, for example, a sales enablement leader. Maybe I should tag my sales enablement leader at my company so that they can like it too. And I'll get a double whammy of they like, I like, and now we're getting attention. So on average, it could take up to, well, actually, that's not even the right phrase. Can't say on average, up to. How about this? Rephrase. What it can be is, if I'm going to engage with your post, it can take up to 15 minutes per post per customer.
Yes.
If I'm targeting 50 buyers in a day, that's 12.5 hours. There's no way I can do that. And so what do? We don't do anything, or we only do it for the top 5 or the top 10. Not the right solution. So, and even if you say I'm 50% wrong on my timing, 6 minutes for 50 prospects, that's still 6 hours. That's still 6 hours. So it's not scalable. And that is why we release products like Fly Engage. Fly Engage AI is a tool that is now embedded directly into LinkedIn. It looks at an individual's post. You can use the tool to help you write a relevant response. And let's pretend that I get it 95% of the correct. And all you have to do is mention the individual, and everything else is perfect inside of it. Everybody says hallelujah. But let's just say I get it 50% wrong. Let's not focus on the 50% wrong, the AI. Let's focus on the 50% that is right. Because now I have to just delete a couple sentences, maybe change the context. Maybe the AI is commenting as if I was there at an event, where I have to go in and change it. Instead of saying, it was so exciting to see you at the event, I change it to, I wish I would have been there at the event. Right? That's called human-assisted AI. That's called contextual relevance. Does this make sense? And so did it get me 50% of the way there? Yes. And if that's the case, now I take my 6-minute time to 3 minutes worth of time. Right. And that's how we scale. And I can show this if you want me to show how it works, but that's one example. And oh, by the way, there's this little probably unknown secret. Here we go. Secret tip. For everybody that you're engaging with in your LinkedIn messaging inbox, in your Sales Navigator inbox, and recent connection requests. My comments and my posts show up in those people's news feeds for a couple of weeks. So, what should I do? Hello, we should, one, build a connection request strategy that actually has personalized, relevant connection requests to a target buyer. Then when they connect, I'm going to message them saying, thanks so much, Dion, for connecting. Generally, I'm working with sales leaders such as yourself. They're challenged by a couple different problems. Here's an article that will help you and your sales team that shows how you can drive a 60% yes rate to a meeting request. Hopefully this will be of value to you. Let me know if you have any questions. Then what happens is I read that. It's a non-sales pitch. I look at the material and I say, I want to know how to be able to get a 60% request. I click on the element, and now I take it and I send it to my team members to say, hey, this is a great article. But now, if I'm commenting and posting on LinkedIn, you and I are now seeing each other's content for the next couple of weeks. So what does that mean? It means that I should now begin posting content as well, because if I want to lead you to my solution, then I'm going to engage through messaging. I'm going to engage through commenting. I'm going to engage through posting content, which is going to show up on your newsfeed. I'm going to email and I'm going to call. I've got at least 5 different touch points that are happening there. And that's also why we released a product called Fly Posts AI.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fly Posts AI is the ability to be able to click start a post on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And then use AI to write a post on any topic that the AI can write about in your, the sky is the limit. It's what your imagination can come up with, and most certainly what the AI can write about. And again, we're not automating it. That's super important. It's not a comment, click, post, go. No, it is I'm going to read this. We're not going to automate this process.
Right.
We are going to require the seller to be engaged. And for that matter, we want you to @mention the individual, because @mentioning is what's going to get you tagged. The tag note gets notified in their notification section. And now we can scale this and use this third channel. And by the way, it sounds very much like a human.
Absolutely. And you know what, Mario, I think that's amazing. And so as we're coming to the end of our session, I would love for you to be able to show Fly Message, right? So if you would go ahead and share your screen, that would be amazing, because you really touched on all 3 key areas that we really wanted to touch on today: growing our engagement, growing results, and keeping it personal. So in our final few minutes here, if you would show us Fly Message, that would be amazing. And then end with kind of your offer for everybody as well.
Sure. So let me start out with Fly Post AI. This is the AI that helps you write your specific thought leadership. You see that it just got injected right inside of here. And so I have the ability to be able to come inside of here and I say, I want to write a thought leadership article. Or if I'm a leader, I want to write a template for about company news, celebrate something. Yep. When I click on any of these things, you can see that you've just got to insert the topic right inside of Fly Posts. So I'm going to click thought leadership, and I want to write a thought leadership post about scaling sales prospecting efforts in 2024 for massive success. Now, I can now hit enter, or I got to spell success right. I can now hit enter, or I can hit this little orange icon. Either way, we go out and we start writing some content, pulling in some content. The AI utilizes it. You can see I'm bringing in some emojis, some writing is taking place. And you can see that's why I'm sharing these best 5 tips. Automate your prospecting process. All right, now I really have to read that because I just talked about automating.
Yeah.
Right? Again, contextual relevance, right? Focus on high value prospects. Okay. Use multiple channels. There we go. We just talked about a social media, advertising, content marketing. Personalize your outreach. Amen.
Yep.
Hallelujah.
Thank
right
God.
there.
Thank God.
And follow up consistently. Here are these tips. Now, is this done and over and done with? It might be. If I'm a salesperson, maybe this is good enough. But what I might do inside of here? Well, first, I might, 1, tag my company at the bottom. 2, I'm going to add in some hashtags. 3, I'm also going to come inside here and say, man, what is a great article, a blog, a white paper, an ebook from my blog that I could use as a call to action? Or perhaps I'm using a title from a blog that the company has written, and I've put that into the AI, and then I say, for more information about this topic, click here, right? That's super simple. How long did this take, Dion, for all of this to be written right inside of here?
Oh my gosh, like 3 seconds.
Took about 5 seconds right there for all of it to be written. Could be 3, could be 10, depending on how in-depth. But now I spend the 3 to 5 minutes, and I don't know if you know this, but on average, writing a post like this for a non-writer, meaning a salesperson or a leader, roughly takes about 37 minutes. Yeah.
Writing is not easy, Mario, and to do it well is even harder. Right. So that's why I agree with you. And I love all this. So the question I have, I'd like to interject is when if I'm a sales leader looking at this, what are like the top 2 or 3 things that I need to think about as far as getting this into the hands of my team?
Well, first off, you can easily go out to flymsg.io and start out with a free trial.
Awesome.
You can absolutely do that. And you can utilize the product for free as well. You get five AI prompts per day to be able to do this. So that absolutely can be done, and it's scaling. But the other part is now the training as to Can I just hit post at this point? Not really. What we want to be thinking about is how to incorporate maybe some stories, how to incorporate some real humanization inside of here. Might it be ready for publishing? It could be. I can't say no. I haven't really read the whole thing, but these 5 subheadings right here are pretty spot on, right?
Yes.
But I might have an opinion about that, or maybe the article I'm writing has an opinion. Now, why do I want to post this? Again, repeat. Hear what I said, sales leaders, because all the people that I've been engaging with in messaging, whether it's LinkedIn or LinkedIn Sales Navigator, all of them will begin to see my content for the next few weeks after I connect with them. Okay. Now, that is fly posts. Let's say now I'm going to want to write. Let's pretend I'm going to sell to Mark Cosaglow, and Mark has written this long post. Now, as a seller, I might say something like, "Great advice. Thanks so much. Love your message there." And Mark says, "Okay, cool. That's relevant," right? So Mark's talking about how he's made 500,000 plus cold calls over his career. I hated it. Here's how I went from reluctance to ready to rock. I used data. I made an effort. It wasn't a robotic process. I had fun with it. And I wanted to learn how to overcome objections. Okay. What do I say to that? Well, right here now, we've injected Fly Engage. And Fly Engage actually has the ability to be able to read the entire post and write an optimistic, thoughtful, curious, or I can create a custom prompt. Now, this works a little differently than Fly Post in that when I click this button, it automatically starts writing an optimistic post. However, if I click the prompt component here, I can see what prompt I'm sending to the AI and I can modify it if I wanted to.
Okay.
I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to write a thoughtful reply. We're going to let AI go out there and write. And great advice on how to make cold calling more effective and enjoyable. Thanks for sharing your insights. I especially appreciate the tip about making a cold call a robotic process. I would probably read that to make sure, did he say make it a robotic process or don't make it a robotic process?
Right.
Again,
Confirm.
human assisted AI. It's a great way to take the emotion out of the process and focus on the task at hand. What would I do inside of here? I would absolutely come here and say, put a space there, do an arrow back and I would make sure I tag Mark because that's super important and relevant to tag Mark on this particular post.
Absolutely.
Right. Now, what if I don't like it? Okay, no problem. I come back here and I write an optimistic reply and we see what the AI does. It recognizes that I'm talking to Mark. Thanks for sharing your cold calling journey and tips. I especially love the part about finding your path to cold calling Zen. I think that's the key to making it enjoyable and successful. Great. It's a great response and it has some depth inside there.
Yes.
So this is a great tool to scale the prospecting. It also works inside of LinkedIn Sales Navigator as well.
Okay.
And so if you were to come inside of Navigator, what we should be doing if you're a Navigator user on a daily basis is we should be coming inside of here and looking at all of our people that we want to engage with. So I'm just going to come here and look at my friend Bubba. Bubba's inside of here. I can see his posts. He talked about what a fun time. Bada bing, bada boom. I can now leave my comments right inside of here. Nothing changes. Exactly what I just showed you on LinkedIn is now inside of LinkedIn Sales Navigator. It'll read the post and away we go.
Nice.
So those are the AI components that, the AI components that we are showcasing. For real quick, and this is the last thing I'll show you for the text expander part, the text expander works anywhere online. Here's that message, -BAM. As you can see, it just built out. That was my code that I use inside here, -BAM. But now I come inside here and if I forgot, maybe I don't remember, and I can do a search on book. What was my code for book a meeting? I mouse over here and I can see my preview. Yep, that's the one. I click it and it auto inserts right inside of there. That works just like that for template-based messaging in Gmail, Outlook Online, LinkedIn, and LinkedIn Sales Navigator. It works flawlessly. Also, if you use it in Salesforce, HubSpot, Pipedrive, you name it, it works anywhere online on millions of websites. All you got to do is remember your code or use our plugin. So we're all about speeding up time.
Yeah, I love. Yep, it's about time and quality and scalability and having that consistency, right? So whether it's the hashtags, that more making sure the team, everybody feels the same, right? There's a cultural component with it as well. Mario, thank you for that. What is the best thing that people should do next if they're really, well, one, I think your offer was everybody has access to Fly Message. Anything else people should know about where to come and get in contact with you and look more at Fly Message?
Yeah, go to flymsg.io, flymsg.io. And if you wanted to reach out to me, say you heard me on the show here with Dion, make sure you send a personalized connection request, please. Otherwise, I just deny them because I just get too many. And with that in mind, set up an account. There's a 14-day trial that you'll have access to of unlimited, unfeathered access. Untethered access. See, I caught myself right there. That's why I use templates. And in that trial for our sales professional plan, what we actually give you access to is not just those 3 tools, but we also give untethered access to the 14 hours of sales prospecting training,
which is amazing.
Yeah. So you can go through that.
Yes, I love that. I'm a huge fan of Fly Message. I use it. I'm not probably much use I that changer, and it has really helped me stay in touch with people because I want to, right? And I think most people in sales do. But then what happens, to your point, is they get busy or like, oh, it's too hard or whatever. And Fly Message removes all those barriers. So thank you so much, Mario, for this. We really appreciate it, and we will talk with you again soon. And again, thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.